to add in terms of use of AI. So I'm going to ask you to help me deal with this matters, questions that you've been asked to deal with, to inform, but also and also educate, but also to be able to, I guess, give direction to the sector about, for those who are interested in this sector, about the sense of how you are managing human resources within the insurance sector. So please help me welcome you to the platform. I think there's enough chairs and enough mics. I'll take on this chair over here, and feel free to sit anywhere where you feel comfortable. Let me first welcome Diana Usha Eke from the Group H, Head of Human Resources at Continental Way. Is Diana here? Okay. Thank you. If I butcher your singing, forgive me. This is a South African accent. I've been trying. I practice. There's a lady called Tenny who gets me to practice, but I get them wrong anyway. I guess it doesn't help to do it over a short period of time. I've seen people go to the US, and in 1 week they've changed their accent. They're American. I struggle. I guess I'm not much of a linguist. Please help me also welcome Opera Chidiadi, Head of Human Resource and Admin at Prestige. Opera, welcome, sir. Let me also welcome Adiola Onichaba, Head of Human Resource Sovereign Trust Insurance. Thank you, welcome them. Augustine Iluelu, Head of Retail, Cornerstone Insurance. Thank you, welcome them. Abimbola Lawson, from Legal Compliance at Sunland. Thank you. And then, last but not least, Bankole Babalola, General Manager of YOA Insurance. Thank you. All right. Have I missed anyone? Do I have the full panel? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
Can confirm. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So the process we're going to follow, because we only have about an hour and a half, and there's just so much to cover. I found that in the sessions that I've had, to try and keep it as informal as possible, so that people can be able to do rebuttal, but also move the mic if you want to add a comment, feel free to do so. But we start first by getting to know a little bit about just the presence of your company, what you do there. Because otherwise, if we talk to people without a context, we might just be talking to, I don't know what else. But you are human beings and you are human resources professionals, and I you know, although we can't go through your CVs, as I said, the experience of sitting in this on this side, guys, it's massive, massive, and it's also international. It's also the rest of Africa is here. So if you want to know about what's happening in Africa, you will get to know. Okay, that's my introduction of loading with all of this. Okay, the mics are there. Please just do a brief introduction of yourself, and then we can move the mic across if there's a need to move the mic. You can start over there.
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
My name is Augustine Isioma Iwedu, and I've been in the financial services space for the past 22 years. My experience across banking, insurance, and consulting, and I've done something for Regenesys before, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be here. My name is Diana Usha Eke. I'm currently the group head of HR for Continental Re. But in terms of my experience, you know, I've worked in different industries, different sectors. I've worked in tech, IBM, for a substantial amount of time. I've worked for Samsung. I've also worked for InterSwitch, which is a unicorn fintech company in Africa. I've worked both in on the continent, Middle East and Africa, and also Europe as well. I'm really looking forward to engaging, to learning, sharing ideas, and really kind of stimulating thoughts and inspiring digital transformation. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Abimbola Lawson. My background is in law, but I haven't diversified into operations, has HR, IT, the whole spectrum. So I'm happy to be here to share my experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Abimbola.
I'm Bankole Babalola. 27+ years across the financial services sector, primarily insurance and pharmaceuticals. I currently work for YOA Insurance Brokers Limited. I guess I'm the only broker on ground here. So while they're sharing their perspectives from where I've worked before, I'll be sharing from where I'm working currently. It's good to be here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Chidajogaba. I work with Prestige Assurance PLC. Our process HR for about 16 years, continue across the mortgage industry and currently insurance. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Aitola Michalo. I work with Sovereign Trust Insurance PLC. I head the human resources team, and I've actually been in the industry for over 24 years in the insurance industry. I would say most of my experiences have been in the insurance industry, though I've moved through the value chain in the industry. That's within the underwriting, but back end, not underwriting per se. So I've had a little of customer service in the industry, and then HR, admin, and support generally. Thank you.
All right. So let's get down to it without any waste of time, so that we can cover as many aspects as possible. But the human resource is quite broad, as you know, the other aspects. You know, when somebody talks about the human resource journey from talent acquisition to the point when people leave us, it's a long journey, and it's all over. All these companies, of course, depend on human resource professionals. So companies to be productive, to have their performance at the highest level, for profits to be made, and for some of them for services to be delivered. So there's a whole range of things we can talk about, and we probably should be able to get to any of them. What I'd like to start with is to give people a context of your industry, so that we don't look for skill sets, or we don't talk about human resources as we talk about in the retail space or in the FMCG space or any other sector. There are things I'm sure that are unique to your sector, right? That people need to get a sense of. So if you can, and maybe I'll start with that you're nearest to me in your mind. What do you see as the key challenges for the sector, human resources in particular, at the current moment, as you cast your eyes on across the sector? What do you consider to be your key challenges?
Okay, so I'll look at it from the people perspective now, in terms of HR practice, right? So in terms of HR practice, for the industry, we don't have the problem of the people per se, but the problem of us being able to retain the young ones that are coming into the new generation that are coming into the insurance space is a key challenge that we battle with in HR now. HR insurance, like I've said, I've been there for 24 years. I've seen it when we were just, let me say, analog, when it's just all paper, and us transitioning into digital, the use of digital tools and all that. So one of the challenges that I've seen is the skills, retaining those, the younger ones that are coming into the industry. That's one. Then we're a bit
the banks, I know I have some of our people here that works on the banks. The banks have adopted technology a long time ago. We're just coming into it. That's the insurance, yes. We're just coming into it. So that's that challenge we have now. And you know what the COVID too brought it so no, it wasn't sudden, kind of. We saw it coming, but we're just taking our time, you know. We're taking our time to get there. But COVID somehow just had to push us and so where those are some of the challenges. So it's not like we're running to catch up with the technology in the industry, but we're getting there. We're really getting there.
I believe so. I trust you. So I don't know if anyone else here. Okay, so we've heard that there might be a challenge of retention of skills, especially young talent, right? But also the sector might have adopted the technology slightly later than the banks, and that in itself says that you are in your early phases of development or use of technology in that space. Please.
So the question I would ask you is why is the insurance sector slow in adopting technology?
Okay.
Insurance is a very traditional industry, a very traditional business. It's one that requires many times for the final document to be produced, it must pass through various levels of checks. It must cross the T's, dot the I's, ensure that it's technically sound, legally tight.
Okay.
If it's not, it can't go out. So adopting technology to drive that, you know, was a big problem initially because the lawyers will always insist, I want to see the document. They want to sit on it, make sure it is intact. It will not generate problems later with the policyholder. And then we move into this generation where we have the Gen Zs. One challenge that the insurance industry had, and I will just give it to a few companies within the insurance space, particularly those with affiliations to the banks, and those who are probably the top 5 or top 10 in the industry who had seen ahead and began to go digital earlier than the others. You see, we have a generation of new intakes now who are very particular about digital technology, very particular about gadgets. And when you bring them into an environment where everything is still semi-digital, they feel uncomfortable, right? I want to be able to apply for a job, for instance, and just give me a link. I go to the link, I put my CV in there, and you're communicating with me, you know, directly. The machine is communicating with me. They are machine people. This generation, they deal with machines and they can spend all their time there. So they want to be able to interact like that. And when they now finally come in, and you're not passing files to them, go and carry that file, take this and do that. They can't feel comfortable in that environment. So they want to leave, right? And so attracting talent into the insurance space will be a challenge for the insurance industry if we don't move as fast as the other industries are moving in the area of technology.
Okay, so I've been going with you. I mean, already was reference to you from a legal perspective in terms of the team over here. What do you see as major challenge from that perspective, looking into human resources of the industry? What comes to mind?
Riding on what my colleagues have said, I think is also a trust thing in relying on technology and trusting that you've put the parameters and things that you need, safekeeping, risk management measures that you need to put in your technology process to ensure that you've relied on speed, but also you've kept the company safe. There's safekeeping in your process as well. So I'll say that even the industry generally, even if in some parts or pockets of our processes we have technology, then we still go back to the traditional way. I need to see hard documents. You need to sign physical signatures. I don't believe in electronic signatures. You need to go back. When you have business transactions, I need to see the policy documents, handwritten, and all that. So at the end of the day, even if we believe and we're driving towards technology, also the mindset needs to change. Trust in technology and trust in the process that you've put in place.
Okay, so then we come back to Bankole and then ask, therefore, from again human resources. Overall, what is this? What has the transition been like? I mean, we've mentioned COVID, right? So it may have been a period and a time in our history that actually forced us in doing things differently. What has that been? You seem to suggest the transition has been slow, semi-digital. What, in your view, what is your perspective in terms of the sector? As this transition is being what it should be, and maybe what has caught your eye in this transition from traditional analog, as you say, to where we are right now?
I think the transition from what we have now is like is a compulsory thing for everybody. The digital age we are talking about is now, and the future we are talking about is also now. So we don't have any other option than to key into it. And the earlier we move with speed, the better for us, because the competition is also there. People are introducing different technologies even in this industry. We have some companies today, they use chat processes, they use different AIs. So, and in order to meet up, the customers are there, the expectation is too high that they want it to be delivered within a short period, unlike the days where because approvals go from hand to hand, from the region, have to use the dispatch to bring it to Lagos to sign. So you must now involve maybe embark on approaches that will make sure that these things go direct. And the only way it can be done is through this having digital access. So this type of information today is a compulsory for everybody. So the earlier we get into it and faster, the better for everybody.
If I can chip in, I'll say even our regulator is driving towards digital platform, because recently they introduced the portal where approvals, you need to submit approvals via the portal rather than physical submissions or coming to the office or sending an email. So I think even for the industry, if we have not caught up, when your regulator has introduced something very quickly, you have to move in that line as well.
Okay. So Diana and Augustine, let me come to you. So this may be also on the side of the service delivery that the regulator we need to comply from that. But from HR perspective, there is a transition in the way that we used to do stuff. Right? This was paperwork in terms of, or the way that we did recruitment, the way that we did our selection process, the way we did onboarding, all of those. So I want on a high level also, what has caught your eye from the HR perspective? And I appreciate what we've got here in terms of the service element of it, in the regulation. But from human resources,
yes,
what has caught your eye in this transition?
Yeah, so definitely, HR is very key when we're talking about digital transformation. So I can speak for the current organization that I work, being Continental. We're not really necessarily a large company. So when we're talking about talent acquisition, we haven't necessarily had to go through the whole ATS and the algorithms, although indeed, we do encourage applications electronically. But what I can say is that we have implemented, software service, SAP success factors, which we use for our performance management, learning, succession, and all those sorts of things. So I would say, the transition, and I think it's because also Continental is a very digitally focused company. I mean, back in the day, this was over 10 years ago, we were actually, I can say, the first company to adopt Office 365 fully. Okay, that was a very long time ago. And even kind of enabling people to also work from home. And I'll tell you this really quick story. This was many years ago, before I joined, how there was an employee who had a sick child, but she happened to be in finance, right? And before then, they had all these like desktops. I know it's so strange that during COVID, I was surprised to hear that there were some companies, insurance companies included, that didn't give laptops to their employees. So literally they had desktops. All of a sudden COVID hits and they're like, oh my God, how are our people going to work? They cannot go to the office, and all of a sudden they're buying. So the ICT guy told me a story about this woman, but then accounts, it's end of month, the child's sick in hospital, is she not going to work? So they had to then quickly purchase, laptops and make sure that she was enabled to work remotely and deliver on her work. So as I said, for us, the adoption has been fast. Someone said we don't really have a choice. now we're at the point of we've got different systems for different things. Civics for, you know, kind of core business. We've got SAP for HR. We've got Sage for finance. We've got, you know, something called Profit for our actuaries. I mean, we're really purchasing the whole spectrum of IT. So we've gotten to the stage where we're saying now we want to have an ERP system, integrate. How can they speak to each other and all that kind of thing? So we're actually literally in the throes because we recognize that if we don't move quickly and we don't move ahead of the curve, we're going to be left behind because our international competition is in this market and they are doing a lot of things. And we also want to be thought leaders. We want to actually push that thought leadership out into the industry and really get our cedants, so the direct insurers, to really key into it. So we're really digitizing really fast. And I know the question in people's minds is like, okay, so what about the staff? How are they getting on board? It's not easy, right? So now we're at the stage where we're trying to encourage a lot of data literacy. As HR, I said it's non-negotiable. Every single member of staff has to ride with this wave. It's a whole change management process. People are going to resist. And funny enough, yeah, I've come across some young people that are not really necessarily interested in all this digital thing. And not because they don't want to learn, but they don't necessarily have the tools. So we're now forcing them to say, look, it's not just about the data. You've got to crunch those numbers. You've got to analyze it. You've got to do predictive analytics. Look, and maybe it's because I came from tech, right? I was an InterSwitch. I mean, they're way ahead of the curve when it comes to tech from inception. IBM, I mean, many years ago, this work from home thing we're talking about, they were doing it like 30 years ago, right? To work around, you know, people's different needs and their requirement. And because I have an appreciation for that, the business is talking about it, but people are a bit slow. So on the HR side, I think we all have a contribution. We have to push that conversation. You do it through your training and development. You get people on programs, and also you get on board any projects. It might not be sitting in HR, but you go talk to the salespeople, your underwriters, your claims people, get involved, listen to the conversation. Where does the company want to go, and how can HR enable that to happen through people? So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
So we'll pick up on that, because some of what you're saying is with the notion of data literacy and HR people have to be data literacy. That's almost, it's like a fundamental, the basic. You come in, you want to join our HR, that's what you just check. Okay. So obviously, I'll now to you in terms of this. We were at the challenges, and then we then spoke about what these technologies are and how they're affecting, and we get different experiences, transition, and we can hear for those who seem to have, like, because Diana now is almost blank, you know, I'm like, you know, I come from these things. Those people might just be dinosaurs. Okay, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking, man. But okay, so obviously where, because yours also is with retail, you own the much more
Exactly.
side.
Yeah.
What has caught your eye in terms of this AI digital skills?
Okay, good.
Right now?
All right. Thank you once again. As someone that drive retail sales and all that, my part 12 was recruiting people and training them, because I drive numbers, you know, in terms of the professionals, both contracts and permanent. And because of the numbers, so I spent 40% of my time interfacing with HR and all that, because since I have to work with them, so I'm like, my former MD said that, Austin, you are driving a mini company inside the company, because where you have workers of about 1,000, you know, driving the direct sales, retail, then bank assurance, digital thing, and all that. So at the first of engagement, you have appreciation of data analysis and digital capacity become an issue. And I'll give other side doing COVID and all that. You know, we have to fast track our website, make it e-commerce based, you know, business enable that. You can go to the website, fill the form, then scan it and send back to a dedicated number. So we're back end process and all that. Then we'll now move to the issue of onboarding the customers and all. Now on the staff and the recruitment, I mean, a lot of people were actually recruited, you know, during that lockdown period, trained, and even sell the e-flyers and product and services to them. Then they are actually download on their tab and laptop and all. And the numbers did not, so even at some point, they not found that the numbers did not actually go down. you know, and others, and somehow they don't look happy, you know. When the lockdown was I'm actually eased up and all, it was because for some of them people resume. So, and the conversation is, can we have a balanced structure where we have some days off and come physically to the office, especially those that live far and ride and all that. Now, then tracking the performance becomes an issue again. They will now develop a software, you know, to track what they are doing and all that. Okay, you know what? The group target is, for instance, 10 billion in this financial year, and we divide it into sectors, states, zones, and all that. Then we now have a tracker. So if it's amount to be against your name, so maybe like 100 million or maybe like 50 billion a year. Then at this point, so you have this matrix that should be percentage, you know, a mix of the product life, the general, and the percentage of what you have done and what is lacking and all that. So you know, because like a self-regulating stuff and all. And also it has been interesting, and it is equally challenging because I mean having those IT capabilities are not cheap and all that. Yeah, at all. They are quite expensive, and they are not done in naira, so you have to pay USD and all that. So so all of these, you know, fine. It is a production, it is marketing, it is sales and all that, but it's equally there's equally a huge cost, you know, on corporate organizations and all that. Yeah, so that is it.
You coordinate almost like 1,000 agents across
yes, across salary sales, that then the agencies and the bank assurance.
So if your HR people back end are supposed to manage these numbers of people and what they do, what are those basic skill sets that you're looking for from an HR professional?
Okay, fine. We have HR business partner that's very interface with us. Execution to this large number of professional XP, not necessarily insurance. If you have done manufacturing, you know, 80% of manufacturing actually operates on that angle. I mean, the Nestle, Pizza, and all that. So that you do a lot of contract and the direct sales agent, Nigerian prepays and all that. So if you have managed such kind of matrix, you know, I mean HR matrix, so that you can just come on board. And, you know, capacity to work, you know, in that scale and all that. And of course, what we do with number data, you know, then ability to, if I want to give 100 people here in 1 hour, I would have those that I can make the document that is at least 70-80% right, you know, because from your look, your CV, and the 1 or 2 questions that actually you know, just how you just, you know, you look for certain things, you know, even from the way most of the structure of their CV, you know, that things are probably run a roadside business center to do it. Then why some city decide it on their own, then I said, and you see it. So we even add picture to it, and you see you see passport to it and all that, you know. Yeah, I mean, so these are ways of assessing people. Then when some even from the use of font types, you'll be sure some are still using Times New Roman, which is outdated and all that. Then I see some using trendy, even some font type that you cannot even access. Yeah, it's true. You know, so you know those that are forward looking, and so this gives you some basic idea, you know, and those excuses. But most people that are under 25, 30 now, 80% of them are actually, you know, in short, they beside their education, you know, PSC, HND, they actually go out of their way to learn some new skills. Yeah. So you see them, and some will tell you this education they have, and of course you put them to test because we have IT guys and from basic stuff and all that. Yeah, and it's cool.
Okay, so yeah. I your agent to really, right? So please let's do that. So, for the HR now. Yeah.
Okay, so for HR now to support the business, you know, the marketing, the technical people, and all that. So we're not going to sit down and be looking through CVs anymore. We won't do that because you have it's on us to fill as soon as possible, and we have to deliver. So now we are using technologies in doing that. So we're creating portals where we'll sort CVs, and the machine is sorting it for us. We just put in the criteria and all that. So we work with the business managers, the business units. You're looking for agents, you're looking for a marketer, you want an underwriter, a claims person. What are the things we're looking at? And then those are the things that we put
take every single thing that you're told there. You have to still review. Don't think you can feed it in and it's going to get you the right stuff. So yeah, it's obviously nuanced. There's a cultural aspect to it. In terms of maybe the analytics part, in terms of people's age, what age group are normally applying to your organization, what's their profile, how many men, women, they're very simplistic metrics, but there's some other areas where we really need to get involved. Otherwise, it's going to be skewed and we won't get the outcome that we're looking for.
Okay. I mean, you from an agriculture background, cum laude, basic, your entry-level degree, you would not have featured in the space traditionally. Right? You would have like, what are you doing? What do you want? Right? But now you've moved in, I don't even know what your PhD is in, but you've moved from agriculture, you're in human resources. I hope your PhD is in human resources, AI, and right? But so based on what Diana is saying, it would not be just about let's look at the CV and we need to have an human interaction. But traditionally, you would have been out of the system by just looking at the CV, right? Now, I just want to shift that conversation to also the other way to choose the organizational culture, because what we're trying to do is that or culture was important, it's a very important factor, actually still is in managing organizations, and we know that it drives business, right? Is this technology that you're employing in human resources and in companies taking away what we know to be fundamentals of an organizational culture? Are we having a new thing, or is it like as they say, culture is done? Is it this thing that it's an AI culture, and what does it look like?
There's absolutely no way that you can take away the culture of an organization when you are trying to recruit somebody to fill a role. Culture is very important. I'll give you an example. We had sometimes 2 years ago, head of sales, and we had this guy, fantastic CV. He's gone places, he's gone stuff. But when we invited him to have a one-on-one chat with him, my MD sitting, I was sitting, and the mannerism, the language, the tone of voice was actually off our culture. Right? This guy will be destructive here. Right? He may know sales, but he's not a fit for this role. Right? And so the end and I just looked at ourselves. That response was good. That was the end. I mean, he came to me later. Yeah, you're doing good, but we're reviewing. But the point is, we're looking for certain things here, and here. You didn't tick those boxes, right? And those are very critical for us. And so, if we don't get any other, we're thinking, is it possible to make this guy go through a change process? But it's too late. As head of sales, he's past. The guy is like we say in Nigeria, is crayfish now, difficult to bend, So culture is very important. And so AI can help you if you put in all the parameters you need to put in of what you're looking for, and it can just check people out. This one's out, it doesn't fit. But if you keep seeing not fit, you need to look at it as a human. That's where the human part comes in. Right? Check again. Okay, out of this all, I've put in about 20 CVs, so now you're telling me 19 not fit. And how? In this industry, where there's a dearth of manpower, qualified manpower, I want to look at those CVs again as a human. Is there something there that the AI is not picking that I need to see? And then I can go there and check, let me call this guy, and call that one. And then from there, you can proceed.
So Abimbola, I want to pick on the legal plane because I want to take the issue of the generations of the Gen Zs further to that direction for that team. But yes, so okay. So but I want to pick a brain on the legislation part, or not even the policies within the organization. Because what we're talking about now is change of way of doing things, right? And therefore there might be policy gaps. Is your experience that the industry is actually closing that gap? Are they just introducing these technologies beautifully and saying, that's the way to go, and of course it makes business sense? Are they closing the gap behind the scenes in terms of paperwork, making sure that they have crossed the T's, especially in HR? Because now I can come and complain. Why are you using this technology? You have excluded me, right? I have the right to be interviewed. Why have I not been in the top 10 or whatever, especially at the executive level, right? So what is your experience of HRs dealing with this from a legislative or policy perspective?
I can't speak for the industry because I think people are different paced. Right. But for my company or where I've worked, you have to be on ground, you have to be proactive, because as technology is fast moving, so new development, new changes, as you introduce a new employee to the business, they recognize that there's a difficulty or there's a change that you need to introduce. So as HR, you always have to be proactive. You have to see ahead of the problem or the issue, and definitely put in policies and approvals that need to address that issue or change in process ASAP. And don't just rely on policy changes are annual, so you have to wait till the following year or to that period. Fast as you need to do it, get approvals, put out the notification, have trainings or sessions with different teams as required, and roll out as needed. Otherwise, what you are putting in place is a problem, because you will not realize the unique issues that come out with different teams or individuals, and by that time it's too late. You're troubleshooting rather than being proactive.
Okay. Thank you. So you're saying in your space, actually, this is done. People are actually crossing the T's and whatever, right?
As much as possible.
As they make these tweaks, they don't wait for those annual reviews. I don't wait. Because that can lead us into serious trouble, right?
Definitely.
In terms of what we do.
Okay. And with humans, it's usually litigation, because once you don't agree, we go to our lawyers,
Yeah. And then you pay us. and the lawyers make more money out of that conflict. Okay, so Diana, there was a mention of that Gen Z and the agents, and I don't want to leave it hanging, just so that we can close the loop with that. We need them, I think somebody said, and we have no choice but to work with them, right? What do you see are the potential challenges because of now? Is it because the older generation, the baby boomers, have not adjusted to them? Or is it HR itself that is still very much struggling to bring them in? Has the business moved on to really work with them, especially in this industry? Because this industry could be very much like the banks and others. Oh, yeah. Very much in the suit and in the tie. Absolutely. Yeah. So how, in your view, therefore, should we be treating Gen Zs and these other newer generations and making sure that we get the best out of them? But also, what do you see as key challenges dealing with them?
Yes, I think it's a number of key challenges. Yeah, and typically in my experience in the insurance industry is, like you said, suit and tie, male dominated, almost dinosaurs. I mean, you meet people in there, no disrespect to being ages, but you meet people in there that have been in the industry or in the company for decades. They have their set ways of doing things. I mean, in our organization recently, we started obviously hiring, I'd say we have a multi-generational workforce, right? So HR has a really, really key and central role to play, right? In trying to get the kind of more mature workforce on board on how they can also mentor, because don't forget that these older people are a repository of knowledge, right? Rich knowledge, right? And we have a situation where these guys are soon about to retire. And like we said, we're finding it difficult to attract, these Gen Zs. And funnily enough, it's not necessarily about the technology. There are some companies, even globally in insurance, that are ahead of the curve technology, but the whole concept of insurance, it's not appealing to them. They want to work for Google or they want to work for Microsoft. They don't really, and I think the industry needs to do more in terms of advocating for the industry to say insurance is actually exciting. There is potential for you to work in tech, in insurance. There's a potential for you to make a difference in the world. We're not selling that. And I think as HR, we need to begin to sell it, right? That's one thing. Advocating for careers in industry. We need to work with the universities. We need to be proactive. We can't just sit behind our desk and expect these people to apply or get the best of the creme de la creme. The tech industry are laying their guys off, right? So how are we going out? How are we harvesting them? How are we collaborating with the universities? How are we collaborating with schools? You go to the grassroots, secondary schools. You begin to talk about insurance. Even in insurance in this part of the world, people don't really believe in it, right? God forbid, and all those kind of things. You see what I mean? So we have a lot of roles to play. I mean, what we've also tried to do, so that's the hard side in terms of the recruiting, the messaging, the careers, and also the environment. Try and, your employee engagement, games, movies, stuff, karaoke, things that will make them happy, not just work all the time, and so on and so forth. So there's actually a lot to do. I think HR can push. We can bridge those two generations together. We can tell them how they can benefit and how the older ones can also give back with all the legacy knowledge transfer, and all those kinds of things.
Augustine?
Just a chip in. The language of your CVs or your vacancies going out is also very key, because you have the traditional manager, sales manager. You need to start thinking of exciting roles and titles. Otherwise, you keep getting the old generation.
Let me, exciting as this conversation is, I like the angle she's taking it from, of having to create an environment, an atmosphere that the Gen Zs can feel comfortable working in. And that advocacy is not what an HR manager in one company can do all alone. So that's where the industry comes to play. Like our institute, for instance, the CIPM, has a huge role to play in this, right? And we do a lot of advocacy in various chapters that we belong. If you belong to a chapter of the CIPM, we do a lot of advocacy. Go to secondary schools, go to universities, and talk to people about human resources, about banking, about the excitement that is there in the workplace. Because many of the Gen Zs currently don't want to come to a brick and mortar office. Many want to work remotely. You're interviewing someone and we're getting close to the end of the interview. The person is saying, how is the work day like? And you mentioned you go to work 5 days a week. And the person is saying, can I work remotely 4 days and go to the office 1 day? Or can I even work totally remotely 5 days a week? So that's the challenge, and that's the conversation that we need to have. We have a generation now that don't believe in waking up at 5 a.m., struggling in traffic, getting to work, and then closing at 5 o'clock or 6, and then getting into traffic again. They want the comfort of their homes. They want to sit behind the gadget, do the work, the task you've given them to do, deliver on it, and go on to something else. As a matter of fact, they want to work for you alone. Okay. They don't want to spend their time for you alone. Give me the task to do. I do it. I do other things with my life. They are not like all of us around here. They want to do this.
So, all right. So I'm going to get to Adiola. So okay, make your point, and I'll go to Augustine. Augustine, after this, I'll take back, and then I'll come back to you. So in that order. But what I'd like to do is take the issue of hybrid work to the next level. So make your comment, but let's talk about hybrid model. Whether is it working or not working? I mean, it may be that they're pushing us to it, but is it truly working? Is it desirable? Elon Musk says, come back. I don't care, right? Because I call the shots. You are out there all the time, but now I call the shots, come back. So what is the, and it may be for this industry that you actually don't have to be Elon Musk. You can do it better than me, right? So make your comment, but after let's take it there and address.
I just wanted to add to the issue of the Gen Zs, Yes, we need to make our environment attractive for them. We need to go to the schools. And I think for us in HR, we know the skills that we would require to run the business. These skills, most times, if we go to the schools, they're not being taught in the schools. So we need to collaborate in terms of curriculums. And that's really we can do, like he said, it's not what we can do as individual organizations. So we have to look at the industry coming up together. There's a skill that is very important now in the industry that we're finding difficult to get. Yes, I'm sure every one of us here, we have that issue. Mm-hmm. So we need to, it's a skill that is required to do our business. As HR people, we know what are those things, how are we collaborating with the schools, and then how are we making this profession attractive to them. Like for my organization, now what we've started doing is we have some schools that we go to, we talk about insurance to them. So we were sponsoring clubs that talks about insurance club. Hello. We're producing materials that we share to this group, that is animated book stories. Hello. That we can share around, and then they look at, so they get to know about insurance. We arouse that interest about insurance in them. So when they want to go there, when they're buying their forms to fill for JAM, they're actually interested in studying insurance. So we're not looking at people that they've not heard of insurance until maybe probably when they're posted to you to come and serve with your organization. That's the first contact they're having with insurance. So I think we need to drive it. Then when they come in as well, what are we doing? So for us, what we do is to get them in, the inclusiveness. And when we have committees, we include them in committees. So we have the older ones in the committees with the experience, but we want them to come in with it. And believe you me, most times they want to do things differently. But when you have them in the committees, they're suggesting a whole, yet all might look impossible or somehow, but there is a way you now were able to, bring the whole thing together and we're able to come up with something. So I think we need to do something about getting them attracted. When they come in, how do we hold them? How do we retain them?
So Augustine, you have, I mean, because of you have so many locations, and those are things that should easily work for you and probably making business sense for you. Work from home model, right? I think let them be there. You don't have to have issues. They don't even have to come at all.
All right.
Not unless they have to be in front of the client. If this is client facing, right?
Okay.
But how are you navigating that space?
Okay.
In terms of hybrid model, and I'm not sure whether each generation is dominating your space, but this generational issue. And I want to come back. Please remind me. I need to deal with that positive work culture. This is your specialty, right? And if you're looking for diversity, how do we get this diversity right with technology? Is it working or not? But please, let's address that.
Okay. Thank you once again. Because we run a pure retail outlet, it's not even possible to have all of them domiciled in your branches. As a company, we have about 20 branches. But we have about 100 partnership. Branches partnership with so we deploy them to this method of business. So while they are harnessing internally from the bank, then they are using it as their outlet businesses to go and market other customers. There are people that do not even come to us, not they are producing, right? Yeah. And just like what he said, they are not working for you alone. Yes, some are pure commission agents, right? So then we agree on the products and the commission matrix, right? Then go and be the uncle that wants the federal and they're going to buy like 50 cars. And you okay, I need this commission. It's 5%. And when I get the commission, I can share with you another. So somehow, so you see, so that are not through yourself, that are direct sales agents, that are very on commission, pulling these things. And some people still 1 year without even coming, right? And of course, there's a production matrix to take some allowances and some other compensation and also if the person is actually big midnight, doing it, doing creating content. I creating content at all. So we have been able to manage people like that, at that level. It's okay. Now be a direct agent. Then there are some that they come to work every day and then they go to client. Okay, no problem, because we want to critical mass. Because at the end of the day, you pay 100,000 here, then you pay 1 million here, all add up, right? And then in terms of the absorption, for the core senior level people, no. Yeah, because it's still 9 to 5 and going to work for them. But for the 6, because it's in volume so we have promotions for those ones, go and get the business, get commission. Then those that are doing the still 9 to 5 are not that. Then those that have outlets like the banks are not that is okay. So we've been able to spread it so that we have accommodation for each and every one. Yeah, another. But maybe those senior decision making people is actually 80% still empty school come to work and all that. But then when there is a pandemic and all, or maybe like strike, then we can now go back, monitor the situation and all that, Yeah. Thank you.
So if we take this the performance issue, somewhat all of you have covered that and said we can use AI tools. You have advanced in the industry to get people to set targets and meet whatever your demands, and then you're able to say we're happy or not happy in terms of your performance, right? So you guys have got to that phase. So the tools are helpful. One of the key things, and I think I spoke culture, and now we have we spoke about the new generation. But the big things around organizational culture has always been about diversity, because people are different, right? If you look at the diversity within this country, it's right? It's huge. So are the AI tools taking away your ability to manage that diversity effectively and to harness it? or is it helping or not helping? Or is it just remain the same? Diversity is still managed very much the way that you did it before. I just want to make this anything there that these tools are helping us to manage diversity in the workplace.
Yeah, like we say, culture is dynamic. Bringing it to diversity and the tech. The tech has actually helped in that diversity, in the sense that what used to be can be taken and be handled through other ways, and there won't be issues arising from that. The idea of this is how we used to do it, how we used to do it all the time. You know, where you have that argument and the argument is going towards this is how we used to do it. You can bring in the tech, and then the resolution can be taken from that angle. So I see that diversity in different ways. There is diversity of a tribe, diversity of knowledge, diversity of class. You know, unlike before, there are some companies they don't engage anybody that did not study insurance in underwriting. But these days, you can see people that study the accounting and underwriting. So we must involve, and that person that has that on the accounting knowledge has a lot to contribute, even when he's doing his underwriting assignment. So you have to bring in that diversity into that what you are doing. So, like as I said earlier, you must bring in human aspects whenever you are dealing with this technology. So whenever the technology ends, the human aspect completes it. So the technology and the human aspect also helps in this diversity management.
So, if we go to transition now, if diversity is important and we understand that it's dynamic, but we also want the leadership of the organization. Now that we are late adopters of the technology, so you want the leadership to also buy in and actually get us going, right? So what is the change management? I want us to talk now. Another key area of the resource, change management, right? What is your advice to business owners around managing this particular transition? What change process, if you in your head, this is what the key things from a leadership perspective. I've heard earlier on, and maybe one of you later can talk to this. There's a need for investment, almost because of the skill set that we require mostly sitting somewhere else, right? But leaders have to themselves have to have a particular mindset for this particular approach. So what is your advice for change management?
Okay, so we said around this platform earlier that we have got to a point that there's no looking back. Post the lockdown of 2020, change has become inevitable.
Right.
It's something we say, we mouth it every time. But from that point, it became inevitable. Organizations that want to go into the future and want to continue to be relevant and productive cannot afford this change. Okay, so we came in from 2020, just before 2020 lockdown. I think it was my colleague here that mentioned about organizations not having just having work tools and just desktops. When the lockdown came, everybody became disenfranchised. Business was down. It's just grounded. You know, a few organizations, mine being one of them, being very proactive, had ensured that all key personnel within the system, not just giving it to the heads of departments or team leads as status symbols. These are work tools. All the critical people within the system had laptops or tablets. So when the lockdown came, it was as if did somebody see a vision here? You know, that this was going to happen, right? And we went to lockdown and the work was seamless. We engaged Time Doctor to manage, responsibilities, tasks, and then people were able to deliver on timelines and things like that. If the leadership does not buy into it, it will be a challenge for the followership to be involved in it. Now, as HR people, it's important that we don't just talk about change. We should lead change. If we're going to talk about moving into the digital era that we are in now, as HR people, we must be on top of it. Are we ourselves upskilling ourselves in that regard? Are we getting the know-how? Are we able to use those tools? If we're going to be marketing these to people that are going to be using it, one day the Gen Z can say, I'm tired of this, what I'm going, and you're hungry. If you don't know how to do it, then it becomes a challenge, right? So we must embrace change ourselves. We must champion it. And once that happens, it's easy to sell this to the people that we're leading. And when they see that the leader is doing it, followers do what the leaders do, what they see the leaders do, not just what you see, but what they see you do. And so once they see us doing it and we are able to demonstrate that this can work and is working, it's easy to move along with that.
So we must stop talking and start doing as leaders of in terms of HR, but also get the leaders of business to do the same. And that again speaks to that notion of strategic HR. HR is no more sitting out on the outskirts. It's actually sitting right on the main table, right? And engaging business around this. Right. From a legal perspective, again, you have to ask the question about governance. Because earlier on I said it's just at the level of the, but is there sufficient AI governance in the sector?
In the sector, I think is up and coming. We do have insurtechs that are now competing with the traditional insurance companies. So whether we are there or not, we need that we have to, get there very quickly. So in terms of AI, I would right off the bat, I would say no. But in terms of other policies that come around IT and new ventures into insurance outside the traditional markets, we have some regulations that have come out from the regulator. Before we know it, by the time we finish the meeting, we may have something from the regulator on AI, but as we say, not there. But I believe maybe they're working on something.
Okay, well, let's hope the regulator does it fast, because already things are moving. And in other sectors, as you said, the banking sector, somebody said the banking sector adopted these things quite early on. And therefore, the pace is, is quite fast. And therefore, the regulators also have to come on board and do this.
We do have the association, insurance association. Right. Maybe we should challenge ourselves now to take that topic to our different, committees. We have the IT committee, we have the HR committee, we have the legal committee. So we can all go back to our committees and challenge ourselves. As thought leaders, we can take this, challenge to our teams and bring up something and share with the regulator.
Let me add to that. I think the regulators, in a way, they're also, like what you said, they are coming up, like this new data protection act. Right. That also helps in this technology, digital issue we are talking about. Because this act also covers some of this technology, maybe social aspect of our business, all of these digital aspects in social areas, right. Like ordinarily, the data I have, the information I have about the staff is already in my system, and I believe, like what we said, they are coming up, and probably they are coming through this area from Data Protection Act and the implementation. Maybe they are going into other areas of our business that has to do with the human aspect of it as well. So just to add to that.
Yeah, regulators are important in that sense, because we know now this identity issues.
So,
right?
Yeah.
And we also know the cybersecurity issues.
Yeah.
That, I mean, the biggest companies in the world gets hacked,
yeah.
Right? And as a result, all of us want to protect this information right now. So it might be a new phase to go into, but it actually can be very risky, right? We can actually all be finding ourselves actually paying serious legal fees, being challenged. Diana, I want to take back to training and development. You mentioned this in terms of training and development. I want to, can these AI tools now, or are you in the sector already using them to individualize training and development? What tools are there? And if you are doing it, what tools are there? Just that individualization of, because we've had these generations, and Bongola says, of course, all generations have to catch up, and we have to work together. We have no choice but to deal with all others. Now, I'm sure we can't all sit in the same classroom anymore, right? So, are we there with AI tools in terms of individualizing this?
Yeah, well, I can't say that we're there yet, although I know, I think globally, definitely, they have gotten to the point where they have what they call skills marketplace. They're pulling data from performance appraisal, data contained in the system, doing some analytics. And also, I think, in terms of learning as well, these skills marketplace or learning marketplaces where people can actually go and self-select, like you go shop for them, they're already on these LMS platforms. So we're not, I wouldn't say that we're quite there yet, but I think, even with places like Regenesys and other vendors, they now have offerings. Some of them have invested in large LMS systems where they're offering you thousands and thousands of different courses that you could use and have self-directed learning as well. Or you could just do it kind of on your system. You've got Udemy, Coursera. There's been an explosion actually. Even IBD universities also have got into the bite-sized learning, programs at the dollar. So it's definitely there. People are leveraging it, but external. But we haven't gotten to the point where we're actually doing it ourselves. But we're building an academy, and part of the things that we want to do is actually have an LMS platform so people can do self-directed learning. It's not every time we're putting into the classroom. All the programs are there, and you can key in and learn on the go.
So you see a time in the future where people would not necessarily have to come to the classroom anymore.
Yeah, I think so. But you see, I just wanted to mention, mention this in addition to what we talked about, office hybrid, right? And I think there's been a big debate about that, which some of us already are aware of. And I had mentioned it to my colleague here that in as much as everybody wants to be working from home and everything, but you're actually missing that human connection. We're human beings, right? And if we're not careful, we've had an explosion of mental health issues. Have we not considered the fact, and it was after COVID, right? It became more pronounced. Why? Because people were at home. People were at home and they were getting stressed. They were isolated. They couldn't connect. They couldn't go out. Their stress levels. And I don't think we need to have that conversation on how remote work is actually impacting our mental health. It's not everybody that's introvert. People are turning into hermits. And funny enough, it's based on that human connection. Because when we're sitting here, we're having a conversation together, we're getting ideas, we're learning, we're getting stimulated, as opposed to when I'm behind the screen. I've done online learning before. It's great. They have all these nice videos, and then when you want to interact, you have to go inside one chat box and be chatting. It's not the same. It's not the same. So that's why some universities that are more advanced with using tech and learning, they have these really funny like virtual classrooms where it's like live. They call it immersion sessions. So it's almost like you're there because they recognize that human connection, even in the offices. You might be beavering away doing your work at home, but it's the people that are seen that get the promotions. It's the people that connect, that are visible. Going back to anthropology, we're not robots. And I think over time, we'll begin to realize that there must be a blend in as much as people are crying out for remote working, it's damaging people's mental health.
Okay. That's a topic on its own, right? Employee well-being and employee wellness, right? And that every single company and HR divisions have to be engaged in and ensure that it happens. And part of that is employee engagement. If you get employees engaged, you can then try to actually manage some of those stresses, right? You can, reduce the level or the probabilities of depression in the workplace and all of those things because they are getting engaged. But AI tools might be just what pushes them away, that keeps them away from the work. But some of you mentioned those things, that you're saying that AI is actually also advancing in employee engagement. I don't know. I don't know. What tools do you guys have? Employee engagement.
Just like what my colleague have mentioned, it's still, but the adoption is still relatively low. But in terms of application, yes, because these are skill sets, data analytics, AI, BI, and all that. So we look at the area that have relevance, in terms of customer segmentation, profiling, and all that, and see how I can actually adopt it and all that. Now, there's no Nigerian school like teaching those things, but however, most of the online courses and all, then most of the techie guys that have taken their time because it requires discipline to go through those processes and get certified and all. Yeah. Now, so I think, that's about, so adoption, yes, but on a full scale.
Okay. So somebody mentioned gamification. To what extent are you using gamification for engagement of staff? Or is it not there yet also? Not there yet. Not there yet. Okay. Let me take that moment of a pause to check with people online because we have about 10 minutes for your questions. Are there any questions online that you need to, and also those who are in the room, if there's any interesting angle that I missed and that you want to be able to be able to post it. Let's take first in the room, and then we'll take online. Let's take first in the room, and then we'll do the online question. Please, let me borrow the mic. Can you please pass the mic to the gentleman there? Okay. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone.
If you hold the mic so that the people online can hear.
One of the speakers by Diana, you made mention of the belief or the perception of the idea of insurance in this part of the world. So I don't know, is there anything the industry is pushing towards, it protects the whole idea of insurance? I think with that, speed up the adoption of the digital and any other thing that you see. Thank you.
Okay, did you get the question? Yeah. Okay, you did. Okay, just hold on to it, Diana, as you respond to it. Can we have the other online questions so that we can respond to all of them?
I have a question, right? What training and development initiatives are essential to equip employees for the digital age? So what training and development initiatives are essential to equip employees for the digital age in the insurance sector?
Okay, training, and is that the only one from online?
It's for me.
Okay, what online?
Okay,
So
so online.
training and development, just keep remember.
Okay, so from LinkedIn, how has culture and belief affected the insurance industry in Nigeria? How has, yes, culture and belief affected the insurance industry in Nigeria?
Okay, maybe AI has taken over belief systems.
Also,
okay, Bangol, I'm going to leave it back to you.
I have one more. What has been the effect of AI in the insurance sector?
Effect. Okay. All right. That one has been answered broadly. Maybe that was an earlier question. But let's deal with those. Please remember the questions if you can.
Okay.
Advocacy, right?
Right.
Yeah. What is the industry doing? The practitioners doing to see people can have good image and let it be a cultural stuff that people can show more, right?
Right.
Okay. Is that your question? Okay, fine. Now, my response to this is pretty straightforward. Insurance is conservative in Nigeria and the penetration is low, right? With our huge population, 200, some say 190, some say 230. Countries with smaller population, let's say Kenya, have higher penetration. Now, the question is why? Is it that we did not adopt insurance as a culture early in Nigeria? I think yes. Then two, then the practitioners, please pardon me, the earlier practitioners too were not pretty, well, let's say professional or something, that there was a huge mistrust. Then the second and the third generation practitioner are trying now to see how they can claim the image, if you can permit that use of language. Now, NICOM as a regulator has taken this seriously. They have an advocacy group. They have a project for it. So when they keep once in a while, you still publish something in leading publication and all that. Now it's getting better, but it's not still part of our conscience and orientation. Be sure you see somebody with 4 or 5 cars. Brand new cars, top of the range. Sure, before December last year, people were still insuring 6 million Prado. That one Prado was 60 million. So it's still Prado was 1.5%. Right? Now, I have a friend who has a hotel in Benin, one of the top 5 hotels in Benin, bought a Land Cruiser, the latest one for the wife, 120, and all that. I said, chief. That was 2 months even before. That was 2 months even before the regulation. Yeah, and sure, that was even before 2 months before December. When that come and increase it to 5%. That's the chief. Give me 10% so that let me insurance work. I say no, that one insurance company 1.5%. If you don't give me 5%, I'm able to do it. And so then he left it on the shore. Then it's not the circular came out December 2020. I'll forward it on him. And that's okay. So now you go tell an icon that I said no. It's okay. Now you go tell an icon. So eventually he gave it to me at 5% and all that. See, I don't know how somebody will buy a car for 100 million and now that product is already 130 and you can't bring up 5%. Meant to be sure. So you find out that it has something to do with orientation and has also to do with culture. Like, it's okay. we leave it to God. And I keep telling people, Nigeria is not the only country that God is overseeing. Right? No. I think that, yeah, I said, yes, you see, because the way we raise the Christianity and religion, yeah, as if you look at it that the Lord Almighty resides somewhere. Because, oh, see, I say, so we have one like this, two countries in the world, right? So do your part, right? Yeah, do your part and take up certain responsibilities. Not the one that you won't do your part, of risk that ordinarily you can manage and ensure, to do that. So, that's not how to do. So we have issue with orientation, and now that things are becoming a little bit pretty hard, and now that it's becoming difficult to push insurance in Nigeria because it is not empowering and all that. To some people, what you actually in Nigeria is government. We have about 6-7 compulsory insurance law, right, and others. Yeah. So it's becoming in some jurisdiction. If a 22-year-old young man or lady is driving a car of 40,000 pounds or so, the insurance that person will pay will be higher than what a 50-year-old man is paying. So it's quite on age, right? Yeah. Then years of experience, and they'll not factor in the capacity for you to be wrong. Because at 22, you are just maybe like finished high school and you are working and all that. So you can afford to speed and keep it. But if 2-year-old man with 2 children, then I'm probably one that's about to enter high school and all that, then he's thinking of the age parents, then he's thinking of the YDS, not the family stuff and all that. So the tendency to be careful, right? So that one, the insurance is going to pay. We don't factor those matrix. Yeah. And that's because of our. So see huge population, big purchasing power, meant to buy insurance, and we see it manifest even in consumer items. Right? In short, someone else said that the way we are going down, we have just gone sachet in everything. But glitter is being produced now in Nigeria. I saw it at a shop right now, 100 naira per. They import to the retail. And so many things. I mean, when I moved to Lagos, then after my high school in Delta, it's like I was starting to sachet in early 2000. A cowbell. I thought that it was a joke. Right now, all of them have gone through that stuff. So the potential power is actually low, right? And anyway,
all right. I think you've given them what a well-rounded answer. They're very comprehensive. Do you want to add to that? Sorry, before we move from, is it a different? Okay, because you also touched on the belief, right? There was that one of belief. I'm not sure if we have to come back to, so that we close that one on the belief, and then we can come back to the 8 initiatives, the question on the HR initiatives. The two of you can handle that.
So we're very highly religious people there. All religions, Islam, Christianity, traditional, we're all highly religious. And so it's difficult to separate that when people have their confidence, complete confidence in this God that He's protecting me.
Right.
So God helped you to build your house. He helped you to buy a car. He helped you, blessed you, and gave you children. And so everything else God should take care of. When God made Adam and Eve, He just left Adam and Eve. Adam had to do other things to get other things out, right? God stopped that creation. From creation, He didn't create anything again. So, but for us, we want God to continue to do everything. The examples is given is what is all over the place, right? And people would also expect that when they insure their vehicles, their house, or their assets, and nothing happens at the end of the year, you can't just keep the money and give me back. That's the belief. It's not the bank where you save your money and then it's still there. It's insurance, because whatever else happens to other people outside of that, it's from that money also we used to take care of those. They don't understand, and that's where education needs to come in. Continuous education, okay? And the belief system must change. And you mentioned government and the regulations government have put in place, compulsory insurances and the like, helping the industry. But you say government is also the worst insuring organization, or the worst insuring entity. They have very corrupt people in institutions. Insurance money is budgeted and it's not used for the purpose. They can take 60% of that insurance budget and keep for themselves and ask you to come and insure all the assets that they have with 40%. And from the 40%, they want return.
Yeah.
So you're also returning 20% of the 40%, meaning that only 20% of the 100% is to be used. And they'll tell you, don't worry, there will be no claims. And there are also corrupt insurance companies who take that, just wait it out. Once the year is over, no claims, and then the money is gone. So we must correct the system holistically from every angle because we're in deep shit.
Okay. I didn't expect that. Initiatives. Actually, you know what I want, because once you said this, I think the biggest church buildings, what do they call them? The arenas, cathedrals, are in this country, right? So anybody who ensures that is sorted, right? I hope you guys have done the show. Make sure yeah, because there's fire issues, right? Yeah, yeah, with there's fire issues. So they have their own insurances. Okay, all right. Let's take the initiative on training and development, and then we'll round up.
Okay, so to get the question right, suggestions on initiatives for HR to upskill in terms of digital adoption of training. So I would say that would depend really on at what level your organization is in the digital transformation journey. But digital transformation is a journey; it's not a destination. We're continuing to as it comes up. So for an organization and for HR to support that, first you have to know what aspect of the business is the initiative going to solve. That would inform what will be required, the IT tools or the technology that will be, and then upscaling yourself now to know what to do. So there are lots, but it depends on, for me, I'll just say it depends on where you are on that journey at that time. But one thing I can say is, if I'm to look at, okay, knowledge management within the organization now, we're looking at, we have, she mentioned, we have this, the older ones, with a whole lot of this knowledge with them, it resides with them, then the younger ones are coming up. So what do we do? Then we can develop, for us, we do what we call KSS. So we bring these people on, they discuss this, they have conversation around these issues, especially the ones that that's why I said, what problem we're trying to solve at that time to address it. So the training program at that point, bringing and then leveraging on the experiences on the job so we do that. That's one thing we do. And then another thing we do still is we still do in-house training. Sometimes you have to source for this knowledge outside. It doesn't reside with you. So we do all that. So it depends really on what you're trying to resolve for the organization.
Okay. So in the interest of time, and I really have enjoyed this conversation. It has been very fruitful for me. There's so much I thought I would not be able to cover, but you guys were so brilliant. You covered most of the issues, from engagement to performance to onboarding to organizational culture issues, and the technology itself and the tools that are there. So I'm grateful for the conversation in the way that it has gone. I hope we've covered all the questions for those online. But in the interest of time, I'm going to ask the panel members to give me sort of their closing remarks on this future of AI in the human resources space. What do you see that future look like? Or any other closing remarks that you want to make, especially for those who are willing to learn and listen to what we have to say, especially for the sector. Any closing remarks? We can again go back in that way.
Okay, I'll close, and I'll close by starting from where she stopped. I think we all need to know what we want, and in this our transformation and digital transformation journey, it's necessary, it's important, it's mandatory. So we have to decide or determine what do we want, and from there we now know what we're going to do, because you must first of all identify where you are, identify what you want, identify where you want to be. Right. So when we identify all this, that will help us in our software journey. The processes are already started there. We are lucky at this our generation in Nigeria here that even the Europeans or the Americans have already started the journey. So we need to key in, and we don't need to move at the same pace they are moving. They even moved slower. So now that some of these things are already on there, we need to move faster to reach that gap. If it took them to 250 years, it shouldn't take us more than 100 years, or even it should take us less than that before we arrive at where. So we need to know where we are going to, and our management, everybody need to key into it. We need to accept it, and this is where we want to be, and we want to be there.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. So those three strategic questions: where do we want to be? How do we get there? Right? And what do we want to achieve?
Okay, so we'll say that rounding up that the train is moving.
Right.
If you don't join it, you get left behind.
Right.
But obviously, you still have those who be left behind. It's because it's using the product to market cycle. You see, it's important that you always have those who are the early adopters. And you have some of the organizations here have spoken about how they've been doing whatever we're talking about here for many years before today. Right. So you have the early adopters, the late adopters, the late majority, the early majority, late majority, and then you have the laggards. You always have these categories along this journey. It now depends on you as an organization. Where in the journey do you want to be? Do you want to adopt early? The early adopters will always have the advantage. They capture the market before you get there.
Right.
And if you're a small fish, a small fry, the shark will swallow you. So get in now before you are crushed.
Okay. Thank you so much. You pass on. Get in now before you're crushed. We might buy you out because the insurance industries are very good at this. They can throw money at you and then we buy you out, right? Yeah. Okay.
So culture is strategy for going fast. So HR needs to know that the key strategic partners, regardless of whatever leadership has put on the table, we don't upskill, our employees to meet up with that strategy. At the end of the day, the business will die. So what's our sustainability strategy? Are we proactive? Exactly as our colleagues have said, where do we stand as an organization in terms of this drive? And then what do we need to do to quickly catch up?
Can I, before you pass on that, Mike, I'm urging to ask you this one from a legal perspective again. And whether people are doing is the culture of ensuring people taking wills as in family wills in Nigeria strong? Because when I hear about this other things that we're not doing, I'm wondering about the will itself and also protecting these marriages. Because these marriages are dangerous.
It's the same thing as the cultural background. We don't believe we're going to die now. We all know we're going to die.
Okay.
We don't believe that we're going to die now. So the belief is, I'm going to get to it. The knowledge is there.
Right.
But the belief is, I will eventually have time
and we're
to
not
get
to
to
divorce.
it. Sorry?
We're also not going to get divorced.
Well, divorce now, yes. We don't have prenup in Nigeria, really. But in terms of will, that eventuality is, it's there, but it's not important, it's not urgent.
It's not time.
But at the end of the day, people die without having wills. Many people
and find it very difficult to get their
administer their estates at the time of death, and then you get all the family issues that come up with the cultural things that happen in the Nigerian system as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Diana, closing remarks.
My closing remarks really are just to encourage everybody. Yes, there are early adopters, and there are also slow adopters. However, let's think about technology in terms of how it can improve efficiency, how it can help us do things more quickly, how it can help us win in the market. My fellow HR practitioners here, online, let's also try and help drive the conversation. Let's get into the business, find out what they're doing. Like, my colleague here, he's in the business, get interested. When you have the conversations with your MDs and your executive directors, go do research, do your business case, sell it to them as a competitive advantage. Like some time ago, they used to say, data is like the new oil. There's so many things you can do with data, so many things you could do with intelligence, like move your business forward. Let's talk the language of the business. Let's encourage our employees. Just like my other colleague said, whether it's from the knowledge share, whether it's from getting other vendors, whether it's even applying for, all this, LinkedIn and all these online learning platforms, put it in the performance appraisal system, make it a KPI. You really just have to get people, because some of us in our companies, we have the tech, but sometimes utilization and adoption is also slow. So we need to also sell it to staff. Why is it important, right? If you think your WhatsApp and your TikTok and your Snapchat and your Insta are important, so is data in your everyday work, and it will actually help you. You know, with this explosion of ChatGPT, some of us that use it, I mean, stuff that we used to research for hours on Google. Yeah. You know, you have all these AI platforms within 2 minutes, they're drawing and pulling and wham. Yeah, it's just there. It's fantastic. So, you know, just to encourage all of us, embrace it, adopt it, and have those conversations with senior leadership. Thank you. Thanks very much.
All right. Organizations should have clear strategy on what they want to do, that be short term, medium term, and long term. And you make rooms and provisions for adjustments if there's any sort of policy or any circumstance or economic development that can actually make it to alter and all that. But also, digital adoption cannot be flawed. Yeah, you must be part of the global community and all that. Yeah, because we live in an uncertain environment. If we're not being swayed by political activities, then we have issues with economic issues. You know, then because we are still a developing country, of course, you have FS production and all that. So you must flip it on your toes, you know, to be able to scale, you know, these markets and all that. Yeah. So it's a tough one, but we'll continue to drive it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your last word. HR has changed the last word.
And so my honor would be as practitioners with strategic partners in this journey with the organization. So we need to collaborate with the different business units within the organization. We need to know what the organization, the direction we need to, so that we'll be able to, and we can't do that sitting just in our offices. We need to partake in, to engage with the business, I mean, with the different line managers and the staff members. We need to collaborate and engage.
Okay. So HR is no more in the back office, and HR has moved away from that. It's become much more strategic. HR is always asking the problem now, what problem are we solving? HR has to think about the vision of the organization, the future, the purpose, and try and live with it. But now with the advent of technology, HR has to be able to adopt and actually get to do it, implement. We'll not just have the cell phone and only use it for phone calls. I think that's a message from Diana. There's a lot more you can do with that cell phone, right? So HR is definitely listening this morning, and I'm hoping those who are online, those in the room, have been able to benefit from this conversation. I have certainly enjoyed it and benefited a lot. Let me take this opportunity, therefore, to thank you. I know in the interest of time, we have to move quite swiftly. Vivian, our office manager, will come through and do the pleasantries so that we can release it for the day. It's still a long day. HR still has to work. Okay, so maybe a round of applause, please, and thank you for my side. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Right.
If there was enough time, I believe that this discussion won't end today. It's been an interesting one. Thank you. On behalf of Regenesys Business School, I want to use this opportunity to say a very big thank you to all our guests present here and those of us online. Thank you for joining us. We do appreciate you. And to our esteemed, exceptional, and amazing speakers, you guys have made out time to be here to join us out of your busy schedules. We really do appreciate you. I believe each and every one of us have learned something new. I have, and I believe my colleagues as well have. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And we would like to offer each and every one of you a token from Regenesys Business School. Thank you, Ms. Long Chapel. Thank you, Chidiade, for coming. Thank you, Mr. Babalola. Thank you so much, Abimbola. Thank you so much, Diana. Thank you, Austin. page.